Hi, Food and Faith friends. My name's Anna, and this is my co-host Sam, and we are here today to do a little bit of our get to know you of your hosts. And today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Sam. So, just so you know, we're both learning about this interviewing thing. So, we're just basically taking you along with a dry run of interviewing, so you can give us grace. Sam, I am so excited that we get to co-host this podcast together. I had heard about you prior to meeting you. Kendall Vanderslice and other mutual friends. Sorry, my desk is just falling apart over here. Had recommended that we get in touch because we have some similar love of doing faith-based and agricultural-based church and liturgically based church, and it's been such a joy to get to know more about Keep Until and be able to get more about your story. But we're also relatively new friends, so I have some questions to ask that I genuinely don't know the answer to. I would love to hear what got you started working in this intersection of food and faith and ecology in the first place.
Yeah, I was living in the food and faith world and didn't realize it. I grew up, I'm the son, grandson, and great-grandson of dairy farmers from Carroll County, Maryland. And so, and deep spiritual roots in a variety of traditions. And so there was always this relationship between sort of my family's faith and the agriculture that we practiced from a very young age. I just wasn't aware of that. It just always kind of went together. And so when I went to seminary at Gettysburg Seminary, I was really interested in doing work in rural church and rural ministry, which is really my vocational passion. That I wanted to serve the rural church that exists, and also wanted to think about the future of the rural church as it might be. And so, as I started thinking about rural life, what I discovered is that so many of the issues in rural churches and in small churches had analogous kind of issues in the agricultural community. And so particularly with aging, with a shrinking population, trying to do more and more work, there's a variety of things that just kind of sort of seemed to me like, gee, these two things have a lot in common. And so I started exploring those relationships and started to discover, first of all, I was really blessed that the agriculture my family practiced was reflected in my family's faith, and starting to say, well, that may be a way of recovering some of the spirituality that we're struggling with. It may actually, there may be lessons in the past that we can unearth to address the issues in the future around not only food and faith, but around rural churches and rural ministry. And so that was really sort of the impetus for this. And I said, I've got to get involved with this. Who else is doing it? And then, we just start running into all these people who are just kind of in their own way. I met Kendall, and then of course ran into you, and like all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, this is a thing. We need to tell these stories. So for me, it really is a family story that led into a vocational ministry, and here we are.
That's awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about Keep Until, your church, and what your ministry looks like on the ground right now?
Yeah, so Keep Until, I really value telling the truth about what it is. And so right now it's about 50 people, and we have about 4 to 5 community gardens that we're in the process of learning how to do community gardening. But Keep Until really is a vision about putting agriculture at the center of spiritual formation and learning the rhythms of agriculture and trusting the rhythms of the ecosystems that we live in to shape us in certain ways, to create virtue that allow us to be better followers of Jesus Christ. And so for us, our mission is to make what we call agrarian disciples to serve rural communities. And by agrarian, we really mean paying attention to the entirety of the ecosystem that God is redeeming it all. And so we don't just want to be focusing on the human community, but that our call to faith really is a call to attend to the entirety of the place where we live. And so we want to make those kind of people who are following Jesus in order to serve inside of rural communities. It's not to say that can only be done in rural communities. That just happens to be where we are. And so that's our mission. And our vision, our hope is that we will see rural renewal that we'll see sort of a resurrection, maybe not of all the small towns that exist, but that there'll be a renewal of rural life around sustainable and regenerative agriculture and ecological conservation that is rooted in a very deep, we use the word radical, which has the same root word as radish, a very deeply rooted Christian faith. So that's what Keep Until is. And so we're involved in all kinds of stuff, just like most churches are, to kind of figure out what that life is at the center of everything. So we're exploring biology by doing kids nights and talking about science with our kids. We're doing small groups that are coming to the garden and work in the gardens. We're involved in social justice in terms of the work that we do in terms of raising food and then seeing that gets to the food insecure, because we don't believe that organic produce should be sort of relegated to a certain economic class. So those are some of the thins we're doing, but we are committed to agriculture and ecology in the service of a more robust Christian faith. So you can go check out our story on thekeepuntil.org and social media and all that kind of stuff. But that's a little bit of an update of what we are. But we're still a developing community. So what we are, hopefully will change and grow as we discover what agrarian faith looks like.
That's excellent. And we're looking forward to keeping updated on Keep Until as we are in conversations. I think these on the ground experiences are part of the story. Well, just to wrap up, could you just say a little bit about why is this podcast important to you? Why are you taking time out of your busy schedule, 2 jobs, family life to talk and to be in these conversations?
Well, as I said in our last video, I'm very eager to sort of jump in on anything. So that's sort of why I'm here. But it's important to me. Like
you here because I didn't say, are you crazy when you?
Yeah, or like you should have said, no, I already have a co-host. But no, for me, one of the things that I think sort of pervades Christian culture right now is that I think there are people who believe that the only way that our faith can sort of grow and that we share it is by sort of the creation of celebrities and then allowing communities to kind of coalesce around these celebrities, which has always kind of bothered me, because the communities of faith that I come from really are a shared experience, and it really is about the life that we share together, not sort of the life and teachings of one person outside of Jesus, of course. And so the podcast opportunity feels like a chance to create a platform where we can interview people you've heard of and people you've never heard of, who are both doing equally good work to bring sort of a new perspective on what the gospel is, what the good news for all creation is, regardless of faith tradition, regardless of denomination. So for me, it really is about who is just doing excellent work. And there's so many good people who are doing this work. And I just want to be a part of saying, just come tell us your stories. My job as host is just to do a good job of extracting those stories. That's all that I want to do, is to hear these stories, be inspired by those stories, and help the faith communities of all kinds to discover that not only is this sort of a nice, fun project to do agriculture, but really it's essential, given in the era that we're in with climate change and with food insecurity, all those kind of things, that to encourage everyone to really be invested in this movement. So for me, it's about hearing the stories and telling those stories and giving a platform to those who don't have it. So I am super excited about some of the people we've heard of and getting a chance to talk to them, and the people who are doing fantastic work in small communities. Both have a wonderful story to tell, and I can't wait to hear them.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
So thank you much. So am I. And I'm so excited to be sharing this journey with you. So thank you for the opportunity to do that.
Ditto. Looking forward to what comes.